Hello, I am Andrea Cooley, one of the owners of Des Moines Mom, and today we are here with Andrea McGinn and Amy Skogerson from the Law Shop. You might know that November is National Adoption Month, and so we are going to be talking to Amy and Andrea, who are attorneys, about legal services that you may need and that they offer with handling adoptions. So my first question would be, what are the different types of adoption?
So I'll handle this one then. So different types of adoption. We handle a lot of DHS adoptions or kiddos who are in foster care and are being adopted by their placement, whether that be relative or foster care placement. So we do a lot of those. Those are happy days, right? Any adoption hearing is a happy day. Then in our job that we usually deal with very hard days. So they're all fun, but we do a lot of DHS ones. We do some family and step-parent adoptions then, so quite a few of those. There are private adoptions as well then, where you can choose to go through an agency or not. You can do international adoption as well. We have not really started offering services in that area. It's just such kind of a specialized area, but we do have is new to us. She's been practicing for a while, but is new to us. And she's really interested in that arena. So we're hoping to be able to offer that service very soon as well. So those are just some of the different kinds. But yeah, all a happy day. And we love when we get to do them.
That's great. Amy, I've heard that you have some personal experience with adoption. Can you tell us a little bit about your family's adoption story?
Yeah, I would be happy to do that. And we can also dive into in a little bit, kind of, Andrea touched on the different types, and we can kind of, I guess, give you a little more information on each of those different types and why you might want to choose one direction or the other. But yeah, as far as my own personal life, yes, I have been touched by adoption myself. My husband and I adopted our oldest daughter, Megan, and we adopted her way back when we got her actually when she was 15, and we adopted her when she was 16. So we have one of kind of the more, or I guess the less common types of adoptions, which is adoption of a teenager. They actually have to consent to their own adoption because at that stage of the game, they kind of, obviously a child of that age knows what's going on. So we adopted Megan when she was 16, and she is still a very happy part of our lives. And having any child is going to come with its ups and downs, both for the child and for the parents. Ours has been no different. So we've had lots of life together at this point, and she's now 27, and she has 3 babies of her own. Her and her husband live over in Granger, so I get to do once a month grandbaby day with them. And yeah, so and she was adopted out of foster care, so that's the DHS adoptions. The Department of Human Services is what we're referencing there, and that's what our office, we do handle. I've done several foreign adoptions. Our office does a large number of foster parent adoptions, or at least adoptions that come through the Department of Human Services. Sometimes those are foster parents, sometimes those are other family members. So we, as Andrea mentioned, I think we'll probably be doing quite a few private adoptions soon as well. Oftentimes those are the ones you think of that go through an agency. So.
Sure. And I think, so a private adoption, that could be either an international adoption or a domestic adoption, but you're just working through an agency.
That is correct. So everybody's adoption story is a little bit different, and depending if you're doing a foreign adoption, depending on which country the child is coming from, that country is going to have different regulations that have to be followed. Sometimes those children will come to the U.S. Under the adoption has actually already occurred in their home country, and so once they come to the United States, then the work that we're doing is really more affirming their adoption here. So it's a hearing that just recognizes the adoption in the foreign country. But another possibility is that in the other country, they were the the adoptive parents or pre-adoptive parents were actually just given guardianship or guardianship conservatorship, something like that type of a sort of authority to take the child with them and bring the child to the United States for an adoption. So in that instance, we're not confirming, we're actually completing the adoption, but both of those can happen with the foreign ones do typically happen with some involvement of an agency, but domestically, it is possible for folks to arrange a private adoption on their own. The difficulty is that there are a lot of requirements under the law. It is a marathon, not a sprint. I mean, you have to have a minimum of that child being in your home for at least 6 months. So then there are home studies that have to be done and other types of things. So when you're doing an adoption that is a child who is coming through a child in need of assistance case, those are going to be ones that come through the department. The department handles all of those things for the family. They handle doing those home studies and doing the pre and post placement and investigations and those sorts of things. There's usually no cost to the family when it's an adoption through the department. There's no cost to the adoptive family versus a private agency where they tend to assist in arranging some of those investigations and so forth. But it's really more on the attorneys to ensure that those things happen and that they're in the appropriate format for the court. So a lot of different little nuances, but kind of the point is that the adoption process is not fast. It is intentionally slow because it's really important. I guess that's really where I was going with that.
Oh, I think that's very helpful. I know from friends who have gone through adoptions that what you said, that it is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. Seems to be true, but it's important that all of the bases are covered and that is done well and done, according to the legal system.
Yeah.
I think you didn't touch on, you talked about adoptions through DHS and then international or private agency, but then can you touch just a little bit on like a step parent or a kind of a within a family adoption?
I'll toss it to Andrea to answer that question, but I do also want to talk about, if we have time, but Andrea can go on this, and then I want to talk about what it takes to become a foster parent because we really need them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So yes, step parents and then sometimes and relatives then can have kind of more wiggle room, I guess you could say, sometimes then in the adoption process. Now, you do have to keep in mind then that before you're proceeding forward with an adoption, you do have to do a termination of parental rights then on the biological parent or parents, right? So sometimes, that's often then two different proceedings then that you have to go through, but that has to be your first step then is termination of the parental rights then on biological parent or parents. And then you're going to go forward with the adoption once that is finalized. And you can do that. There are normally then like that waiting period, I call it a waiting period, but it's 180 day, or what Amy said, the 6 month then time frame that the child is to live in the home. Oftentimes that is, far surpassed then in a step parent or family adoption. There are those reports that she mentioned then. There's usually a home study and a pre-placement or post-placement investigation reports that are to be filed or to be done and filed with the court in an adoption. When you're doing a family or step-parent adoption, you sometimes can get those waived as well. So you don't have to quite go through such a rigorous process. If most of the time, when you're a step parent, the reasoning behind that then is because you have a biological parent then who has already, vetted this other person that they want to be a parent, basically, and said they lived together, they're now married and you're helping raise their child already. So they've kind of done some of the legwork there and making sure that they're a safe and appropriate person for that child as well. So those are really special too, then when you get a step parent or a relative, of course. Yeah.
To kind of tack onto what Andrea just said, that she mentioned termination of parental rights. So by law, a child is only allowed to have two legal parents. As a minor, a child can only have two legal parents. We're not opining on whether that's right or wrong. That's just what the law says right now. So in order to do a step parent or family adoption, that's why the termination of parental rights has to occur first. So if I, as a parent, let's just say that my husband, heaven forbid, this will not happen, but if he passed away, then that would mean that I could have a step parent adoption in that situation. In the alternative, if we have a parent who has really been what we would call has abandoned the child, either they have spent no time with them, or maybe they're harmful to them, or perhaps they have not financially supported them for a very long time, preferably some combination of all of those things, makes the case easier, I should say. So it's not necessarily preferable for the child, but preferable for, if you're going to try to terminate parental rights, that's a big deal. And the court does not allow us to do it easily unless we can prove that abandonment. So you kind of have to have either a parent deceased or an abandonment situation before you can terminate parental rights to proceed with a step parent adoption.
All right. And then Amy, did you want to touch a little bit on foster parenting, or, maybe if a family was interested in that, what they would need to do to get involved?
Yeah. So I'm actually going to speak on this from sort of my own personal journey perspective, and because I learned a lot in that process. So to become a licensed foster parent, and being a foster parent means that you are willing to take children into your home, and you can specify on all sorts of things about whether a particular age or gender, or even religious background, even multicultural, if you have handicaps, all sorts of things. You can preference what you feel you are suited to handle. So because that's a big important decision of what you are capable of handling yourself, how many children, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to even consider the journey of becoming a foster parent, the best thing you can do is there are free classes around Des Moines, and if needed, we can certainly connect people with resources. I'm sorry I didn't bring them today. I probably should have, but that you and the Department of Human Services can also provide this information. But there are free classes, just introductory sessions going around the metro area that you can attend one of those just to learn more about what it would take to become a foster parent. Generally speaking, there is a relatively obvious background investigation of if you're a single person, then there's just going to be on you. If you're in a family, then it's going to be on all the members of the household. And that is a kind of happening in the background while you're doing your foster parent classes. They call those classes here, they call them PSMAP, PSMAPP classes. I would love to be able to tell you what that acronym is for, but I don't know off the top of my head. What I will tell you is that I wish all parents could take those classes. They're 10 weeks, 3 hours, 3 hours once a week in the evening, or at least that's how it was when we did it. And they are amazing classes, amazing. They were fun, they were interesting. They helped us to get to know ourselves better, as well as to understand what it is that a child who goes into foster care, who may or may not ultimately end up being adopted, that child could get returned to its family, his or her family, or could become available for adoption, or could just stay in foster care long term. So there's lots of different things, but that class really teaches you about what it's like to be a child going through trauma, about assessing yourself and what you think you might be a good fit for. Some families do say, hey, I can only take pre-adoptive placements. Like, I need to know that there's a pretty strong chance we'd be able to adopt, because I don't think I can, emotionally separate otherwise. Some families are like, we'll take as many as you can give us. It's a huge variety of people in the class, but once you've taken that class, they will do home studies on you. They will, like I said, do that background investigation, fingerprinting, all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing. It's all free. It's all free for people who want to be foster parents. It doesn't cost you money to get that licensure. they will reimburse you right down to the $5 it took to get your fingers printed at the police station. So you do all that, and once you become a licensed foster parent, then you actually become eligible for foster and adoptive parent subsidy. So that means if you take a child into your home, depending on what their needs are, there is some, I don't want to say it's huge, but there is some financial assistance to help you with the things that you need to do in order to help with that child. So I think a lot of people don't understand that the foster parenting classes are there to really make sure that we have people who are equipped and who are safe for these children. It's pretty amazing, and we made some of our people who are still friends today. I'm lucky because I'm a lawyer. I got to do a lot of their adoptions. But yeah, so anybody who's ever even thought about it, go get licensed and then you can decide. But it's something that we really desperately need right now, and you don't incur any expense for doing it. And there are children out there who need this. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much. Do you have anything else to add about, any of the services that you offer around adoption? Or, I imagine if people are interested or have questions that they can contact, they can either call or check out your website. And if people have questions, they can leave them in the comments and we can definitely address them there.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you both. Have a great day.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you.